Hello. So now that we've finished our idle animation and we've gotten ourselves comfortable with how to select parts of our character to set keyframes using the dope sheet, using the graph editor, manipulating keyframes in the graph editor, staggering our keyframes in the dope sheet to get some overlap, and using selection sets when it's a little cumbersome to select things in the 3D viewport. We're going to start in on a more elaborate animation of a run cycle. So the idle, we just tried to do the most basic of a basic two-pose animation where we go from one pose into sort of a open breathing pose and then back down again, and figure out how to get it to look a little bit more natural and have some overlap and things like that. When we talk about a run cycle, it's a little bit more elaborate. There's some specific things you need to understand about different ways of doing a run cycle from traditional drawing that we can use for these poses and at what times they are to help us understand how to do these poses. Now with this, we're going to be mirroring, we'll be doing one side of the animation, then we'll have to mirror it to the other side for the second half of the animation. So we're starting off with basically 4 poses that we're then bookending with the first one. So it's kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 again, but flipped, mirrored, and then the 1, 2, 3, 4, but all mirrored, and then back again to 1. So it's really twice as long, but the first half, once we get the first half done, we've got the poses we need, and then we have to mirror all of those keyframes. And there's a little bit of trickery involved in getting those mirrors to happen because it doesn't sort of automatically mirror over. One side of the body on the arms, on the FK, the mirroring happens naturally, so you can just copy and paste over. But once we're dealing with the IK of the feet, you need to make sure they're in world space. So their mirroring is a little bit different than the arms. So we'll have to adjust a few channels and sort of flip them from positive to negative or negative to positive. And there's sort of a cheat sheet that I give you on how to do that. As well as when we do the spine, all of the torso from the hips all the way to the head, when it's rotated one way and we mirror it, we can paste those keyframes, but then we have to take the rotation that it's making in one way and make it either negative or positive to flip it to the other side. So there's a little bit of tweaking that we have to do when we get to mirroring. But for the first step, we're going to just deal with our first pose, which is our contact pose. There's the few poses that we do have. There's the contact pose, which is kind of the character hitting the ground with their front foot. There's the down pose, which is kind of like, if you think of it as a bouncing ball, the character kind of, the down pose is where the impact, the full impact is felt and the rebound is about to start. Then there's kind of the jump or push off frame where the character's rebounding and pushing and propelling forward. Then there's this sort of up in the air pose, which is the up frame, you could call it, where the character's sort of both feet are off the ground and reaching forward, getting ready to land. So we'll start with that first pose, the contact pose, and we'll start with a new file. So I have a new file, and the default is 24 frames a second, so I'm going to change that again. Windows, Settings, Preferences, Settings, 24, change this to 30. Hit Save. And then some of the other settings we want to do here. Well, we're going to make it the timeline about, we'll do 23 frames. So we'll start with this at 1 and this at 23. So that'll be our time slider. And then we want to reference in our character. So we go to Add Reference here. We go find our rig. My rig is called 05 version 7. Loads it in. Uses the namespace the way we want it. Looks good. Contact pose. Okay. Let's make sure that our translates and rotates are set up correctly. So double click on your translate, make sure it's set to world. You can actually do reset and it'll keep it to world. And then rotate, I'm going to hit reset and it's set to object. So, okay. So first pose is the foot's going to be forward. We'll start with the left. So I know that the hips will need to come down in order for that foot to come forward. So I'm going to bring the hips down a little bit. And also I'm going to be pushing that foot forward here. Let's just take the foot, push it forward quite a bit. Maybe bring those hips down a little bit more. Push that forward and then hit E for rotate, rotate it up. So we're getting right at the contact when the foot's relatively, there still needs to be a bend in the knee. You don't want to hyperextend the knee. So make sure there's a little bit of a bend in the knee. It's coming down. So that's one. The other foot is going to be, and we're on frame one, so make sure you're on frame one. The other foot is going to be back, up, and then E, rotate, pointing sort of backwards and down, and sort of a relaxed stretch there, something like that. Now, the next thing we need to make sure of is that the hips are correct. So the hips need to be rotated. You know, when you lunge your leg forward, your hip will rotate to pull that out there. And now that we've rotated the hip, I could pull this forward a little bit. Not much. But the hips definitely need to have some rotation to them. If I look in the right view, you can see that they're rotated. So that's our first pose for sort of our hips and our feet. Now, one thing about the feet, we did it sort of side view, but when you run, you're really your center of gravity here is not being supported if your feet are side by side. So what I'd like to do is, let's look at it directly from the front, is make sure that the foot doesn't have to be centered, but it has to be more close to the center. So I kind of put it a little bit off center here, but it's got to kind of have this look to it where it's sort of supporting the weight there. I probably want to have these knees out a little bit here too, so I'll pull that knee out. Pull that knee out. Looks a little better. And maybe for a more natural look on the foot, select that. I might rotate it out a little. That's kind of how your foot, when you run, you know, there's sort of people with their feet that kind of go out and people with their feet that kind of point in. Just going to do sort of a natural when I'm reaching out with the foot that it kind of leans out just a tad. Like that, and then the back foot sort of points in a little bit. So that kind of gives you a variety. As the foot goes, it goes across the ground, and then it sort of curls in a little bit and pulls out. Sort of does this. So get that to be a little bit more natural. Then what are we going to do with the rest of the body? Well, I think that the hips need to be rotated a little bit forward too. So we're kind of leaning forward as we run. So here's where I'll go to my torso. I did the root. Now let me take the spine and I'm going to look at it directly in the right view. Rotate it on Z so it's coming sort of just a little bit, not too much. Just a little bend to it. And then also with the neck and the head, rotate them so that they're looking up straight. And then the body, if the hips are turning one way, then the spine is turning the other. So what I'd like to do is just turn the spine. The spine is going to turn on X here. And it's really turned pretty far. Because when you run, you kind of torque your body. So there's a torque that's happening when you're running. And then we'll take the neck and the head and counter rotate them. So they're looking directly forward. Okay, so we have that torque in the body. There, a twist. Hips one way, the rest of it's kind of twisting back the other way, and then the head is counter-rotated to look forward. Okay, and then that looks good. And as far as twisting this way, that's not really going to happen until you sort of have the impact. So this is right before impact. You're kind of evened out in this direction, so you're not really tipping to the side. This is kind of a good neutral pose here, but we do need the arms swinging. So what's going to happen with the arms is the clavicle is going to go back and down for the left arm. So it's kind of being released backwards. And then the shoulder will come down. And maybe we make it go back a little bit further on Y. Bend it a little bit here. Just a bit. The hand could be going back or forward. It's really up to you. I may take this shoulder and rotate it a little bit down and a little bit that way. That's okay. A little bit further back like that. And then for the hand, I'm just really going to brute force it into some fists. So let's go to our, I think I'll do them one at a time. Well, I can do all the fingers at once. We do all the pointer to the pinky, rotate it on Z all at once. I could spend more time on that, but I'm just going to really just get this quickly done, make sure that there's a little bit of them coming together, kind of making the fist a little bit more natural. Pinky always comes in a little more than anything else. Okay, and then the thumb. Just try and get that close as we can to a fist, okay? Got a fist there. That's one arm. Now this arm, clavicle is going to be coming forward, and I'd like it up a little. Kind of scrunch up when you're moving forward, that goes up. So we want to make sure it's coming up a little bit. Maybe even exaggerate it a little bit. And then this shoulder's coming down and forward. And this is rather bent up in front of the character. I think that's good. And then we'll do the same. Maybe we'll take the hand, rotate it up a little bit like this, maybe turned in. And then we'll do the same that we did here for FK on the R on the right hand fingers down to the pinky, and rotate them all and just get a quick fist out of it. Rotate these in a little bit to make it a little more realistic. Deal with that thumb. We'll move this thumb on Z a little bit here. Actually, the first something like this. And this can flop over the top here. So real quick, I could work a little bit harder on that, but it's good enough for now. Maybe we'll move this thumb to the side a little. Whoops, not that one, this one. Okay. We've got a run here. Looks like the character's first step of a run. So you kind of think about that. I might move this back a little bit more, make it a little more extreme. Let's make it extreme and make it a little bit cartoony in a sense. So that arm's kind of swinging out. This one's kind of coming in front. Okay. Go out here. We're at frame 1. Select all. Hit S. Now we've got our first pose. Let's look in the dope sheet. It's correct. There it is. So this we have our contact pose. And now that we've completed that, what we'll want to do is have the same pose at the very end of the animation, right? Just like we did with the idle. So let's take this pose. Feels pretty good. Let's take this pose that we did, and I'm just going to drag the selector over here. And actually, if you have multiple keyframes along the on the time slider, you can take a pose from anywhere and, you know, say this pose that I have here. If I middle mouse click and drag, it actually moves sort of the pose that I have set up, but not keyframed. You'll see how I do that later. But move to frame 23, hit S, and now we've got it bookended with those two. And the next thing we'll do is mirror this pose. Okay, when mirroring the pose, I'm going to go mirror this contact pose. And we want to do this at frame 12. So that'll be sort of the halfway point between here. So what we want is the reverse to happen. And instead of sort of copying everything and pasting it there, we're going to do one thing at a time because there's different aspects of each channel that need to get flipped. So let's just start by going to the left foot controller. And I've got the rotation turned on right now. It's going to give me an indication, an understanding of the different axes and how, when we copy and paste, how they're a little bit different. So what we'll do here is go to the frame 1. Even though all of these frames, basically, you know, it's constant because we have the first and last frame are the same. But this is the methodology that we'll use, the strategy that we'll use for copying and pasting mirrors, is that we'll go to the frame that we want to take it from. So here's the foot controller, and I'm going to shift left click on that on that frame on the time slider, and that will select all the keyframes like we've seen before. I'll right click on that keyframe. It has to be red. It has to be selected. Right click on that, go up here to copy, and click copy. And now I'll go to 12, and I'll select the other foot controller. Shift left click on 12. Right click, go to paste. Not paste connect, but paste. Paste connect will, if there's already a keyframe, it'll add whatever the value is on top of it. We want it to basically replace whatever might be there. There's nothing there, so it'll replace this nothing with the exact value. Paste, and now you can see it came forward. And if we look at it from the front view, it's exactly the same. It's kind of going at this angle here a little bit. So we see that. That's trying to put it there. But see, the issue that we have is that we want it to be a mirror image. So right down the middle here, this Y, which is basically the YZ axis, on this positive side or negative side of X, we want it to mirror down this axis right here, and it's not. It's kind of over to the side. So What that means is there's a few elements here, and I'll go to translate. So for translate, this is going to be on X. Our X value on translate is actually right here in the channel box. We're going to switch that. I'm going to click in there, and then I'm going to get rid of the minus and delete it and hit enter. And now that's where we want it. That's more mirrored as far as X. Now if we look at the rotates, this rotation is Y. The Y needs to be, the mirror would be, the feet are both look like this. So we want this to be out in that direction. So the rotate Y needs to be updated to be the opposite. So it's 2.56. I'm going to say negative 2.56. Hit enter. And you see it did that. Same thing goes for the Z. The Z axis needs to be the opposite of what the left foot is. So the Z axis here, on rotate, I'll delete that negative number, hit enter, and now I have a perfect mirror of those. And I'll hit S to make sure that keyframe is updated. So now we have both of those keyframes are the same as far as their mirror. So for the IK, the feet, that's how that will work when we mirror. Let's do the same for the other foot. So we took the left foot and pasted it here. So now we'll take the right foot, which we have selected, shift left click, right click copy, go to 12, switch to the left foot because now we want the left foot back, shift click on frame 12, right click, paste, shoots it back there. Okay, so let's see how these, this one is going to have the same issue where X needs to be the opposite. So we'll go to X translate, make it negative. Now it's more centered. I'll go to the front view so you can see. Centered. And then the rotation, remember we had it kind of pointing in the toe. So we need this, which is our Y rotation, to be opposite. So I click on that channel, change it to positive, enter. And then also the Z is going to be the opposite. So that now will be negative, enter, and hit S. Okay, so now when I flip back and forth, whoops, you should see, if I go to the right view, you can see a little bit. Make sure that these feet look exactly the same. So I'm flipping, and that's actually flipping between the left foot and the right foot, and you can see that they have the same position from the side view. And from the back view here, you'll see pointing in, pointing in. Okay, so now we have the feet done. So the feet are mirrored. So if we look at the animation, the feet are doing what they need to do, opposites. So now we have this one, the opposite, perfectly mirrored for the feet only, and then back again. Okay, so now we have to do the rest of it. So the next, that's for the leg control. So that works pretty good. So you just have to remember translate X, rotate Y and Z. Those three. Remember that anytime you copy and paste to mirror, you'll have to switch those from positive to negative or negative to positive, whatever the opposite is. And there's ways to write scripts that'll do this for you. And a lot of rigs that you might work with might have buttons or scripts that you run that do the mirroring for you. But this is what they'd be doing under the hood, basically, is swapping out these values. But we're just going to do it by hand. I know it might be a little bit tedious, but it gives you a good understanding of why things are happening the way they are. And when you build your own rig, you can build your own rig from scratch however you want, and you'll understand why you would need to have certain scripts written certain ways. One of the things about Maya is that it does have some automated functionality, but for the most part, its power is in that you can customize a lot of things, and you can customize scripts and create your own scripts for your own things, where in many other software packages, there's just kind of a standard way to do it, and if you don't follow it a certain way, things won't work. So it's a little bit more extensible, but it also means with that freedom comes a lot of responsibility in building things. So It'll be kind of brute force here. So let's do the entire torso. So remember we had the selection set here. So if I select all of these under the torso selection set, and I'll do what I do in the other places, even though it's not that necessary. Since this isn't a left-right thing, so this is, we need it to mirror, but it's not like we're taking a left leg and putting it on a right leg. We're taking what we have, and then we want to mirror all of those rotations and translations that we have. So let's make sure we do this correctly. I've got those all selected. Now I'm going to shift-click and then right-click and do copy, and then go to 12. Shift-click, right-click, paste, and it's going to look just the same because it's the same. It's basically the same that we have. We haven't done anything to it. So now, what are the things we need to do? With hips, they have some certain axes of rotation. The Y rotation and the Z rotation need to be opposite. Y and Z. So Y is this way, and Z is this way, right? Because the X rotation is forward and back, and that's the same. If you want to mirror the pose, this rotation is going to be the same. But what's going to be different is the turning this way and the leaning this way. So those two axes are going to have to be flipped, just like we did on the feet, doing positive if they're negative, negative if they're positive. So, so we just do it right here. We say Z has to be, rotate Z has to be opposite. And right now it's 0. So I don't have any rotation actually on the hips for Z, so it just stays the same. But Y is going to need to be opposite. So it's negative 19. I'll just click in there and make it positive 19. And then you see now it's turned the whole other way. I'll hit S, and there we have it. So the next things we do are spine 1, spine 2, and spine 3. Let's just do one at a time. Spine 1, it needs to have its X, Y, and Z locally. Its Y, it's rotating this way on Z. So its local rotation axes are different than the hips. X on the hips does this in the way I set it up. But then the spine, the rest of the spine, everything goes on Z in this direction. Because I wanted the hips to have the world world axes to be the same as the local axes. So that's why the hips are a bit different. Because I do a lot of translation with them. But I don't do any translation on these other ones. They're all forward kinematic rotation. So I want consistently the Z to be the most dominant one. And for this one, I just chose that the leaning backwards and forward is the Z. So Z always stays the same, but X and Y, so Y is this way, and X is turning. So X turning needs to be flipped, and Y needs to be flipped. So X needs to be flipped, so this is now negative. And Y is 0, so we're okay. And Z is the rotation this way, which is fine. So then I hit S. And now I've got that keyframed. So we'll move up to this one. Spine 2, X, rotation. I don't have any rotation on the Y, so X needs to be the opposite. Hit S to save. Let's do this one. Needs to be the opposite for X and Y. So we'll go here, negative. So I've been making these negative. And then since I have counter rotation on the neck and the head, these are probably going to be switched from negative to positive. So X here is negative. I'll change that to positive. Positive rotation. Hit S to save the keyframe. And the head, negative to positive. Now there's a reason why I didn't select the entire spine and neck and head all at once and just switch the X from negative to positive, because they had different ones. Some of them were negatives and some of them were positives, so I didn't just do them all at once. I did them one at a time and made sure that I hit S and save. So now that should look, let's look at it from the front. The torso and head should look the same on frame 1 and frame 12, or not the same, but opposite. The only thing we have to change are these arms. Okay, so that's what we found out is with the feet, there's certain channels we have to change. With the spine, they have X and Y, and the hips have Y and Z that need to be flipped. And then for the final one, let's do arms. And so for arms, this is really why we did the quick select sets, because I want to take the entire arm and all the fingers and select them in exactly the right order so that I can paste on exactly the same other side. So if I grab everything on the left side in some random order of the arms and then paste it onto the left side, it'll try and paste it across the list that I selected to the list that I selected. And so if I select it in the wrong order, it'll be pasting animation into the wrong object. That's why the selection set and the order in which I created it is important, and the way that I select it is important as well. So if I'll close this up and we'll choose the arm, whoops. RFLK. Here we go. I don't want all these open here. Close these up. Otherwise, I get the these are showing the extras here, which I don't really want to show. Show DAG objects only. For some reason. Show set members. Anyways, I think because when I opened it up here, it started opening up all those here. So all I want to see is just those exact set members. I closed all those up and now they're gone. Okay. So select the clavicle, shift select the thumb. That order will be selected top to bottom. I'll hit shift left click, right click, copy. Then I go to frame 12 and select the other arm. Right clavicle, shift left click down to the thumb. That'll select the same exact order. Shift left click on frame 12. Right click up to paste, paste. And so that should have done a mirror of that arm. Well, it looks kind of not perfect mirror because of the twist of the torso, but it is a perfect mirror of the arm rotations, local rotations. So we got that one. That was the left arm that we copied to the right. So now we have the right arm already selected. Let's just shift click, then right click, copy, go to frame 12, and we want to select left arm, top to bottom, shift left click on the frame, paste, bam. I believe that's everything. Now, have I done any animation on these? So they're the same on all, but I definitely need to have keyframe. I want to have a keyframe of everything there. So if I look at this from the front view, 12 and 1 should be exact opposites of each other. So what I'd like to do, just to make sure I've got everything keyframed, select all in this view, go to frame 12, hit S. That just ensures that I've got a keyframe there for everything. Okay, so just like we did for the idle, where we have those sort of the exhale and kind of the inhale and then the exhale again, those basically two poses for the entire animation. This is going to have a lot more in between, but we definitely have the bookends of running to one direction and running to the other direction. So if we hit play, you'll see what your animation is. And this is exactly how it should look. It should just be interpolating between those two frames, and they should be opposites of each other. And actually, if you were making a game, you might actually take this first pass of just this one pose and get it in the game. And just make sure that the speed that the animation is going to be running compared to how you're moving your character through the world, or that the size is good, or that the animation plays correctly and exports correctly. At least having those two keyframes and a loop there might be your first pass in your game engine just to make sure everything's okay. So we have that, and we have done completed that first contact pose with the mirror to contact pose.